Anthony Palumbo was caught during the to catch a predator sting of Ocean County, New Jersey. He was 46 years old at the time and believed that he was talking to a 14-year-old male. Over the course of this video, I will dissect the chat log between Palumbo and the perverted Justice Decoy, then analyze the footage of the confrontation with Chris Hansen at the Sting House. The information that is available to us is only a small window into this person's life. I will be using this window to speculate on what may be going on within the subconscious mechanics of how his mind works and what his life may have looked like. It is mentioned that the conversation between Palumbo and the decoy took place in a gay AOL chat room, so I assume this is where men would gather to possibly find a sexual partner for the night or something more. This may describe why the chat goes from 0 to 100 rather abruptly, and Palumbo doesn't spare any dirty details as he shows no hesitation in making his intentions known. Let's take a look at page 1, shall we? Palumbo immediately asks the age of the person that he is speaking with, and the decoy wastes no time letting him know that he is 14 and male. When the decoy's age is revealed, Palumbo's reaction is, oh, a clear moment of recognition that this person is a minor. It doesn't deter him though, as his very next question is, where you at? This is the telling moment of Palumbo's predatory nature, as right now he should have moved along with his evening, but instead he asks for the boy's location. It doesn't really matter if this is a hookup chat room or not, as a child is a child, no matter what they are saying or where they are hanging out. Just because the child is here and possibly curious about sex, it does not mean one should engage with it. A little side note here. Further down, Palumbo asks the boy, what are you into? In my previous video with Alonzo Wade, I said that I found it amusing someone would ask this to another person, as I hadn't really heard this phrase used in this way before. A lot of you let me know that this is actually quite a common phrase in certain parts of the United States, and here it has popped up again. If you hadn't told me of this, I likely would have expressed more confusion that this question has arisen in yet another chat log. Anyway, as we move down the page, a few other things happen. The decoy sends Palumbo a picture in which Palumbo says, nice, and goes on to ask the decoy what his nationality is. When the decoy asks the same question back, Palumbo says, Italian, 6, 167, 35. I'm assuming this is his height, weight, and age, which is disturbingly followed up with, you top or bottom? The fact that he has asked the boy this question right after providing specific details about his body is a confronting thought. It's as though he is letting the boy know what he will be expecting if they were to be intimate, and the way it is conveyed is almost transactional. Palumbo hasn't tried to woo the decoy at all. He hasn't tried to relate to him or attempted to try understand why the boy may be in this chat room. He doesn't even know his name. He just gives the boy details about his body and asks if he would like to have that on top of him or underneath him. The decoy states that he's never done either but would be interested in trying both, and Palumbo lets him know that he likes both. I assume this is in an attempt to work with the decoy. He's trying to say, whatever you feel more comfortable with in the moment, I'll be willing to do that for you. Palumbo goes on to say, you suck? I would like to try, yeah. You kiss? Heck yeah, bro, it's hot. Nice. This chat log is a rather different beast to the others that I've looked at. There is no push and pull between the predator and the decoy. There's no subtle hints or notions as to what they are both talking about. Palumbo is talking about sex openly, and the decoy is highly responsive to this. The chat is brutally raw, and we haven't even gotten to the more explicit parts yet. Palumbo and the decoy are straight to the point with their intentions, and there's not a shred of room left for doubt. Keeping in mind that Palumbo is talking to a 14-year-old, the small amount of dialogue that has been exchanged so far I do find very interesting. I have the feeling that Palumbo has had these sort of conversations many times before, not just with minors but with anyone. His straight-up line of questioning resembles a vetting system to me. He is weeding out the people who aren't looking for sex, and he'll get to know them after the sexual intent has been established. It reads as though he doesn't want to waste any time with pleasantries on someone who may not be explicitly looking for a sexual encounter as well. He doesn't care that this person is a minor, he's just running his algorithm. Meet someone, ask them if they suck, see how they respond, proceed accordingly. Accordingly to a predator anyway. As the chat moves along, Palumbo feels the need to tell the child that he is horny, likely hoping that stating this could result in the boy taking this information and engaging in further dialogue that could somehow be able to resolve said horniness. Watch how the decoy masterfully dances around Palumbo's words and lures him towards the Sting House. I am horny. Laugh out loud, really? Why's that? Mmm. Make you horny? Palumbo's expression of I interpret as him thinking sexual thoughts. The decoy probably reads it this way as well, but chooses to engage with it as though he reads it literally rather than figuratively. The decoy jokingly states, make you horny? Casually throwing the ball back into Palumbo's court with ease. Make you horny? Yeah, help. Help? What can I do? You tell me, lol. Well, you're the one in need of help, lol. Laugh out loud. And I can't even drive. Palumbo goes on to more directly ask the decoy if he could help him with this situation. The decoy, exhibiting a lack of sexual experience, states, "What can I do?" Palumbo says, "You tell me," and then the decoy responds with, "You're the one who needs help." This is quite a different tone to what the decoy has taken earlier, with his display of sexual curiosity. And recognizing this, possibly feeling like he is letting a fish off the hook, he ropes him back in by saying, "And I can't even drive." Essentially, he is saying here, "Hey, I was just playing hard to get. I know what it is you want, and I would gladly assist you with this situation, but I can't drive. I have no way of getting to you." Palumbo takes the bait, and this exchange follows. "I drive. Oh yeah? Yeah. Sweet. Anytime." "Anytime what?" "I can come there." I don't know if it's intended or not, but so many predators spell the word come as C-U-M instead of C-O-M-E. It's quite unnerving to read. If I give the predator the benefit of the doubt and say, okay, maybe they are just not the greatest with spelling, then this is a pretty awkward misspell. It makes me both cringe and chuckle a little at the thought of them spelling this word this way in their everyday life. If I choose to not give them the benefit of the doubt though, using this word in this way is a very sly way to interject sexual connotations into a sentence that would otherwise be devoid of sexual intent. Saying, "I can come there now," all of a sudden changes from, "I will visit you now," to a more subtle version of, "I arrive shortly, and maybe we can be intimate." After this, we have a bit of predator chatter. Nothing too much of interest. They talk about where the young teen lives, and Palumbo is offered to stay the night. Palumbo also expresses concern regarding the boy's parents, but his mind is soon settled when it's explained that they are both away for the weekend. After this is resolved though, this question comes out of the blue. "Is it hard to find someone in New Jersey to hook up?" "Yeah, like a lot of people want to be all out and open about it, and I can't let anyone find out I'm gay." Palumbo could be asking a few things with this one question. Either A, he's asking if it's difficult to find someone to hook up with in general, or B, he's asking this young boy in a roundabout manner why he is hanging out in a chat room that is far away from his place of residence. The decoy reads it this way and says, "Yeah, a lot of people want to be out in the open about it, and I can't let anyone find out I'm gay." Looking at this purely from a character development point of view, this is a pretty great reason for why the boy is here in this room. He is gay, yet unable to embrace his sexuality due to a number of possible reasons. Maybe his friends or family don't approve, or maybe his religion doesn't allow it. Despite this though, he still would like to explore his sexuality, therefore he is hanging around a gay chat room that's slightly out of town, where he can talk to people who may understand his experience with life, yet will be unable to expose him due to being far away from his home. Whoever wrote the character for this decoy has employed far better character development than some mainstream movies are able to do these days. They have conveyed everything I've just mentioned with a single line. I could think of a few scriptwriters that worked on large franchise films recently who could learn a thing or two from this decoy, hey? After this, the two exchange names. Palumbo provides a false name, saying that he is Chris, and the boy says that his name is Brian. I can't help but find it rather amusing that both parties here are complete fakes. One lying about their name, age, and possibly even their weight and height, whilst the other lies about, well, everything. The way dialogue flows in our everyday interactions I find fascinating. Conversation is a difficult skill to develop and one that many of us never master. We rely so heavily on the word of others that conversing is truly a vulnerable art form. An art form that many choose to engage in honestly, whilst many others choose a path of dishonesty. At any given time, we as people can fluctuate between the two, based on situation and circumstance, and one can never say with an absolute that they are on one side of the fence or the other. As we talk to each other, we provide details about our lives. We shed light on our personality and we engage with another's word for a variety of reasons, be it companionship, requesting help, or gaining understanding of a situation. When a party is being completely honest, they are highly vulnerable, providing valuable details and insights into their life that hopefully will fall on honest ears and used with positive intent. When a party is lying, though, and providing false details, it puts them on an immediate yet fragile higher ground. This is the basis for manipulation. The dishonest person is operating from a place of control acquisition rather than vulnerability. The liar can take the raw data that they are receiving and mold what they give back in return in a way that will elicit a desired response from the other. Usually when this happens to us, and it likely happens far more often than we are aware, it goes unnoticed, as the liar may never get to the point where they expose their fraud. And with all of that in mind, it brings me to this conversation between Palumbo and the decoy. I find it amusing to be able to watch as a fly on the wall, as both parties provide false details in an attempt to solicit their own desired result. One attempting to acquire sex, and the other trying to catch a dangerous predator. It's a fascinating little moment in time, and one that I am grateful to have the opportunity to read over and dissect. I am getting off track now exploring these thoughts, so I'll bring it back. And what a moment it is to come back. This is one of the more bizarre things I've read in these chat logs. A moment that I've pondered over for quite some time and wondered just how I will address it. I'll read it out, but if you're able to watch the screen as I read, take notice of Palumbo's textual tone. What you want to do if I come, there? Well, that stuff you were saying before. Kiss and do some suckin', and then try more if you wanna. 'Kay? Why? What you wanna do? Same. Oh, okay. You swallow? What's that? The cum. You swallow? Oh, sure, I suppose. At first glance, due to the capitalized letters, it appears as though Palumbo has become highly excited at the idea of this boy swallowing his bodily fluids. And for the most part, he more than likely has. Yet it becomes strangely apparent that the rest of this conversation takes place with Palumbo using these capitalized letters. It would seem as though he has hit his caps lock key and either doesn't know how to switch it off, or thinks that capitalizing letters doesn't really make a difference in the flow of a text conversation. The decoy, humorously enough, doesn't acknowledge this absurd event as having happened. He just rolls with the punches. Up to this point, the decoy has presented an image of a fairly switched-on young man, and it goes against the character that has been displayed to not call out this caps lock situation. It would be far more in character for the decoy to say something like, "Why are you yelling at me, dude?" Not mentioning it, though, is a wise move on the decoy's part. Mostly for our entertainment, but also for another reason. The more control the predator feels they have in the chat, the more inclined they would likely be to come to the sting house. Not bringing attention to the caps lock avoids the possibility of Palumbo feeling embarrassed, which could then lead to a stark awareness of his age gap, as this hip young boy teases him for his inability to use a computer. The power struggle is avoided, and the predator continues on his path of self-destruction. There is a very good possibility, though, that the decoy just found it amusing to see how long this would go on for before being noticed. I imagine the decoys have to sit for many hours on end, talking to men about things that they probably don't really want to discuss. So this could be a moment of comic relief for the decoy, amongst the otherwise dreary hours of predatory chatter. I find it very easy to overlook the sinister nature of just what Palumbo is saying due to the ridiculous nature of the caps lock. Here's another excerpt. So, do you want to do more than that? Yes. What? I want to be top. Oh, okay. Well, I don't have no rubbers. You bring them? Yes. And lube too. I hear you gotta use lots of it so it doesn't hurt. You want to do it raw? Raw? Yes. What's that? No rubber. Well, I learned in health that you should always use one. Lol. Maybe bring some just in case? I don't know. Okay. I am clean. Okay. I'm going to take a moment to step back from the humor of this and look at the complete and utter lack of respect that Palumbo has for this child's health and mental well-being. The child has mentioned that in his health class at school, a blatant reminder of his age, that he has learned when engaging in sexual intercourse, one should always use protection, and furthermore asks if Palumbo could bring some condoms just in case. Palumbo, either due to an inability to empathize, being out of touch with reality due to his aroused mindset, or a general laziness and not wanting to explain things, disregards the boy's concern. He doesn't say, Oh yeah, what you're learning is pretty valuable, as sexually transmitted diseases and infections can cause some long-term and serious problems. People generally use condoms to protect themselves from this happening. I am clean, but if it would make you feel more comfortable, then I don't mind using one. That's what a decent predator would say, right? I really don't mean to hand out tips here for potential predators, but let's be real. If you're watching this video, you're likely one of the good guys. So going back, instead of acknowledging this concern the child has, he just says, I am clean. Wow, thanks Palumbo. Are you going to bring your doctor's report with you? The one from your latest sexual health checkup? To prove to the boy that you are clean? Or is he just meant to disregard everything he is learning in school and take your word for it? I could spend hours focusing on the minor details of what makes each sentence of his independently hilarious, but I'm pretty sure you all don't want that, right? Right? So from this point on, for the most part, I'll be ignoring the caps lock, maybe stopping here and there to poke fun at a few good ones. Palumbo goes on to say, when you want me to come, you can come now if you want. How I know you aren't playing. I ain't playing. How I know you ain't playing. And I'll just sit here all night, waiting and waiting. Laugh out loud. How I know you're not a cop. I'm not a cop. How do I know you ain't my parents trying to set me up? Laugh out loud. Laugh out loud. I not. Laugh out loud. Well, I'm not either. Palumbo asks the decoy when he would like for him to come over, to which the decoy responds, you can come now. Notice how the decoy spells the word come correctly, and Palumbo at this point is either really dumb or just choosing to ignore the correct spelling of the word. Palumbo gets a little nervous though, and asks how do I know you're not playing, and the decoy doesn't really answer this question. He more just throws it back on Palumbo with a similar question of his own. Palumbo then mirrors the decoy's response by not really answering and throwing another question into the chat. How do I know you're not a cop? And then the decoy's response? How do I know you're not my parents? The back and forth here is a strange one. A series of unanswered questions, all followed up by more questions that only elicit feeble answers. Neither of them really get to the bottom of who each other are, and the chat just moves along like it never happened. As they are both getting a little bit more serious about the potential meetup, the logistics of said meetup are getting discussed. The decoy says, give me your number and I'll give you my addy. Give me address. You got to give your number. You don't want to give me your phone number? You give me yours, I'll give you mine. Okay, fine. Surface level, this is pretty funny. Palumbo's caveman-like demands, give me address, whilst ignoring what the decoy asked, is one of those moments that I'd mentioned I'd stop at to poke fun. Yet upon further inspection, it's rather scary. The boy is trying to work with Palumbo here on how the meeting will take place, and Palumbo just isn't having it. He wants to control the situation in his own way. Instead of saying something calm like, oh hey, I'd love to come meet you, but I don't feel so comfortable giving you my number just yet. Would you want to exchange details so that it's an even trade? He just instead says, give me address. You got to give your number. You give me yours and I'll give mine. He's such a demanding character. I would say that he's pretty aware that he's talking to a child as well, and he probably thinks that he can control this situation with brute force. Demanding characters can be pretty pushy when it comes to their desires, and this can get quite dangerous, especially if that desire creeps into criminal territory. The demands he makes leave no room for negotiation. It's his way, no discussion to be had. Luckily in this situation though, Palumbo is speaking with a decoy, who submits under the guise of a young and experienced child, but really is just pulling Palumbo closer and closer to his doom with each word. As I was reading over the next parts of the log, this section jumped out at me. The two are discussing how far the drive would be if Palumbo were to come, and Palumbo doesn't seem too fond of the 1 hour required drive. 1 hour? That's what I told you. It ain't that bad. It not that easy either. Meh, well whatever. If you don't want to come, just say so. AOL sucks my DK. Lol, it does? No wonder you don't want to come. Decoy tactics are quite eyebrow-raising at times, always walking the line between presenting a desirable target for a predator, yet not coming across too forward and risking the chat log being invalidated in court. The decoy must adequately present a young teen interested in sex, but cannot say or do anything that would cause the men to do something they otherwise may not do under everyday circumstances. This is the grounds for the entrapment argument that decoys face, and it is a very fine line to walk. act not interested enough, and risk the predator escaping, potentially going on to harm a real child. Act too interested and run the risk of heavy-handedly pushing someone to do something that they otherwise may not ever have done. That's the legal standpoint anyway. My personal opinion is rather different, as you may have guessed. I think that as soon as the men learn this person's age and choose to hang around and chit-chat, well, it's all over right then and there in my eyes. The decoy can say and do whatever they like because this adult should not be talking to this child in this way. I do understand there can be exceptions to this rule, as an adult and a child can actually be friends and there is nothing wrong with that. But if the conversation turns down a sexual path, then this must be approached with caution by the adult. If you are not the child's parent, teacher, or some sort of guardian, then you just move along. And even then, if you are one of these things, the only thing that should ever be discussed regarding this topic is for the child's educational purposes. If there is even a hint that this could result in an inappropriate sexual conversation, then you move along with your day. The fact that these men acknowledge the age of the child and continue to humor this part of their mind, the case is closed for me. They are a predator, no questions asked. There's many reasons that could bring one to becoming a predator as well, other than just an inherent attraction to minors. None of which matter in my eyes. I have many friends who have been through many different and difficult things, and none of which whom have molested a child. Up here, within this segment of the chat, I could possibly see some people argue that the decoy is being heavy-handed with their approach, and I disagree. Palumbo is a disconnected, sex-focused idiot, and that's all there is to it, irrelevant of what the child may be saying. As we move down the page, another point of interest that has struck me is the decoy actually beginning to express frustration. Palumbo really wants clarity on what will be happening at the house, as I imagine he's really trying to decide whether the drive is worthwhile. He wants to come over, but he really doesn't feel like driving the distance of 1 hour, which by predator standards is really not that bad, as we've seen men drive 5+ hours before. Pretty sure there's some predators that would have killed for only an hour drive. Listen. If I come, what we going to do? Effing hell, I already said, now you coming over or not? Be serious. I am. Are you? Yes. Okay. What we going to do? Like, I'm down for whatever. I already said. I want to know now. God damn, what is this? We can kiss and try suck, and you said we could try top, bottom, and two. What more you want to do? So before I continue reading, there is a quick public service announcement here that this chat is about to get graphic again. What you mean you tried to suck? You never sucked. Well, I never done it before, so I'll try it. You ever bottom? No, never. How we going do this? What you mean? Will you swallow? Yeah. My cum? I'll try it. Why? I want you to. Okay, I can try it. I have no rubbers. Loop? No, we can use soap. Kay, bring the stuff you use. Can I do it without a condom? Well, could you get some? I am clean. Well, okay. There's really not much to analyze that I already haven't. I mostly read over all of that so you could get a true understanding of just exactly what Palumbo is. A sex-crazed control freak who has absolutely no respect for the boy he wishes to sleep with. The boy then asks Palumbo for beer, and Palumbo states that Heineken is his favorite, which he also misspells. Pretty sure the decoy pokes fun at this misspell by spelling it incorrectly as well. Oddly enough, Palumbo doesn't actually confirm whether he'll be bringing alcohol or not. Instead, he just further goes on to expose his sexual delinquency by steering the conversation down yet another sexual avenue. But Heineken is like the best. Yes. Dude, you should totally bring some. Laugh out loud. You want me to sleep over? If you wanna, it's cool with me. It is a long drive for you. Yes. Sex all night. Lol. If I'm drunk, I'll do whatever, for however long. Haha, I get crazy. A laugh out loud. Some more really provocative words from the decoy here. Saying that he will do whatever for however long, I imagine, is the holy grail of sentences to a predator. Palumbo goes on to ask about family and siblings a little more, some groundwork to ensure the boy will be home alone for the weekend. And we have a little more character development from the decoy here, as he talks a bit more about his sexuality. Nothing that Palumbo really tries to connect with though. Palumbo decides that it is too late to meet up tonight, and that he will come the following day. This always strikes me as quite damning to a man's intention. Some predators fall in love with the decoys, and wish to pursue something that would more resemble a romantic partnership rather than exclusively a sexual one. These predators, to a degree, I can understand what draws them back to come talk to the decoy day after day. They are craving that emotional side of human connection. Now, I don't for a second agree with what they're doing, and I don't think that they should be pardoned due to this. But on a level, I do get it. In the past, I've found myself attracted to a woman. I feel it important to mention a woman of legal age, due to the nature of these videos. I have found myself attracted to a woman whom I'm aware is completely wrong for me. For whatever reason, I know that a relationship would never work with this person, yet I come back to talk to them because the emotional connection which fills whatever void that currently hollows through my heart is better than nothing. So to a degree, a very small degree, a degree where I need to remove myself from the repulsion that fills me when I think of what these men wish to do, then I can somewhat relate. In Palumbo's instance, though, I am absolutely lost. There doesn't seem to be a hint of emotional connection anywhere, just raw sexual energy, and the majority of it coming from Palumbo. I would imagine that most people would wake up the next day and snap out of it, reflect over their conversation that they had with a child and think, oh gosh, that was pretty messed up, and then never do it again. So when someone like Palumbo, a sober man, wakes up the next day and is still keen for this meetup to take place, it screams predator to me. He has no ability to think critically and is a slave to his inner demons. There's a large section of dialogue coming up that I'd like to take a look at, so I'll read it out in its entirety first, then go over it afterwards. It starts with Palumbo asking the boy to email him the location. So you know what you do now? Email your address so tomorrow I look it up again. Why can't you write it down or something? Geez. Laugh out loud. When was the last time you come? Today? Why? Just asking. Okay. So you gonna show up or call first or what? I'm going to call first. Okay, you got my number? You better not be playing effing games. I left it in a voicemail. Dude, I ain't playing. If anything, you're the one playing. It's a long trip. You could easily make it tonight. Well, I'm real and I ain't playing. I hope. How old are you? 14. I told you that already. 'Kay. How old are your pics? One is like a year old. The other ones are recent. Which is the year old? The one with me holding up 2 fingers. Let me look. You tongue kiss? Yeah. Is there any other way? Laugh out loud. One more thing. What, puppy? Is your place clean? Yeah, we got a cleaning lady. Okay. Dude, I don't live in no crap shack. I'll tell you that right now. Some people do. Palumbo once again requires more hand-holding when it comes to directions. The decoy seems a bit frustrated by this, saying, why can't you write it down or something? Instead of explaining why, Palumbo ignores this question and does what he knows best. Discusses sex, saying, when was the last time you come? The decoy would like to know why he needs this information, and Palumbo states that he was just asking. Then, seemingly out of nowhere, Palumbo becomes agitated, and the intensity in which he asks questions really ramps up a notch. You better not be playing effing games. It's a long trip. How old are you? How old are your pics? Which is the year old? Let me look. Do you tongue kiss? And the coup de grace of them all. Is your place clean? Why on earth does he need to know if the place is clean? If the decoy lived in a trailer, would he just not come over? This is so absurd. He is willing to stoop to a level where he will molest a minor, but he draws the line at a dirty house. A predator with standards. The other question here that really haunts me is how old are your pics? It's highly disturbing that he wants to know which one of the pics is a year old. I assume because he wants to perversely look at the child when he was as young as possible. This little question here is far more sinister than initially meets the eye. Why on earth does he need to know which picture he is the youngest in? Can't he just look over them all and appreciate in his predatory way? Why does he need to know this detail? It truly exposes where his mind is at. He's really on board with this idea that he is going to be intimate with a minor. In conjunction with his acceptance of what he is planning to commit, Palumbo doesn't exhibit any desire to try and fit in with what the young boy may want. He doesn't even slightly attempt to make the experience sound appealing to the young teen. He shows no consideration that a man might scare the boy, and instead only wishes to establish what he is, and that he will get what he wants. He is making the child aware to details that he feels are key points which could act as barriers to sleeping with the boy. This is most apparent coming up as he goes on to say, "You know how old I am?" "You said 35. "Yes." "So yeah, I do. Why?" "I have a mustache. It makes me look older. Just to make sure, you know. I don't want to come there for nothing. Remember, people play games." He not only clarifies that he is a fully grown man, he states that he has a mustache and this may make him look older. Highly manipulative statement this is for two main reasons. First off, Palumbo is preloading excuse ammunition as to why he may look older than 35. He is aware that a 46-year-old probably looks a fair bit older than a 35-year-old, so he's getting ready to blame that on the mustache. Secondly, he is solidifying that he is a grown man. A 14-year-old boy may not have the ability to grow a mustache, so this hairy symbol that exists on his face represents far more than a fashionable statement, or lack of fashion, depending on where you stand in the mustache argument. So here's a bit of a side thought. I have a strange opinion on mustaches. I've noticed that most of my female friends, even the ones that like beards, do not like mustaches. Yet almost every man I know, including myself, will compliment and praise another man who is growing a glorious mustache. I have a sneaky suspicion that this is far more primal than meets the eye. Quite possibly a man who grows a glorious moustache does so at the expense of their mainstream attractiveness, making their chance at finding a partner much more difficult. So when a man sees another man with a great moustache, they have two main reasons to compliment it. The first being a deep and sincere sign of respect. They know what the man has sacrificed to grow this furry thing upon his face, and one cannot help but to acknowledge the circumstances. And secondly, the man without the mustache instinctively knows that he now has a better chance at finding a mate than his other male competitor. The praise is designed to encourage the man to further grow it, which would further put him in a position of less attractiveness. Mustache politics is something I ponder a fair bit, and something I could muse over for a while. But we do have a job to do here, so let's get back to the chat. The second reason that Palumbo mentions his moustache is because it symbolizes the divide between man and boy. He's trying to make the boy aware of just what it is he is getting himself into. He's implying that he is no boy who is coming around to play and have fun. He is a fully grown man who is looking for sex and he does not want to be disappointed. As we see with his words, "Just to make sure you know, I don't want to come there for nothing." This is one of the scarier comments of the log. I can only speculate whether he would have physically forced himself upon the boy, but he sure as hell is forcefully pushing him mentally. Palumbo is attempting to bend the boy's psychological state into a position that serves only him. If we read between the lines, he is saying, "I'm going to a lot of effort to meet you. You better not screw me around." A child who likely hasn't had much experience with conflict or heavy-handed manipulation would have no idea how to handle this. They may be way more inclined to go along with Palumbo's sexual advances even if they didn't wish to. They may be fearful that agreeing to the sexual activity and then going back on their word would cause Palumbo to be angered. Or even worse, they may just end up feeling like they don't know themselves, causing an inner conflict as they beat themselves up for agreeing to something they didn't want. A child is learning a lot at this point in their life, and learning how to decline something they don't want, even if they initially stated they would do it, is a difficult lesson to learn. A lesson that many of us are possibly still learning. I know I do struggle with this sometimes. So seeing Palumbo try to bully this child into sexual activity is like watching someone play a game of chess, yet their opponent only has their king and a few pawns. Thankfully, in this particular incident, it is Palumbo who is missing the pieces, as Hansen holds a team of queens. The chat goes on for a little longer, and then both parties decide to go to bed. Before they depart for the night, Palumbo expresses his first shred of emotion and says that he will miss the boy. Then he yells, "Don't leave." An odd change of character, as he hasn't really been anything other than a robotic sex-crazed machine up to this point. His call-out is in vain though, as the decoy has already left the room and doesn't talk again until Palumbo messages the next day. They spark up conversation around 12:30 p.m. the next afternoon, and Palumbo says he will be going to work for a few hours and will come visit the boy afterwards. We are nearing the end of the chat log, and there is one more moment of interest I'd like to highlight. Palumbo cannot seem to use the website MapQuest to find the directions to the Sting House, so the decoy does it for him, and begins to provide directions for which he can follow. Initially this starts off pretty normal. The directions are displayed as they probably would appear on the step-by-step routing from the website. Oh, it also would appear that Palumbo has fixed his little caps lock problem. Turn left at Dorval Place, K. Turn right at Annandale Road. Slight right at Drumgool Road. Take the Korean War Vets Parkway South Ramp. Merge onto Korean War Veterans Parkway. Continue on RT 440. Take the Garden State Parkway. But very soon a shift happens and the decoy gets much more precise with his instructions. Keep right at the fork. Follow signs for Parkway S and merge onto Garden State Parkway Toll Road. You'll be on that road for 29.5 miles. You're going to want to get on the RT34. Slight left at RT35. It's very slight. It's like staying on the same road. After it turns into the 35, you'll go about 5 miles. But listen, if you hit the 528, you've gone too far. Palumbo says, wow. It appears that the decoy is beginning to add their own flavor into the step-by-step instructions, giving Palumbo personalized directions to follow. Upon first glance, it appears the child knows their area well and maybe has been in the car with their parents who drive. Yet after thinking about this for a little, the details here seem very unrealistic of a young teen who doesn't drive. I'm certain there are some young fellas out there who really know their way around the local roads. I have no doubt about that actually. So this could just be a small nitpick, but the directions do seem pretty far removed of how a teen would deliver this. This little detail goes over Palumbo's head and he doesn't question who he is talking to. He just says wow, clearly impressed by the boy's navigational skills. Something that he will go on to compliment when they meet in person. And with all of that said and done, Palumbo hops in his vehicle and begins the drive towards the Sting House. As I go on to make more and more of these videos, you'll likely hear this from me a lot. It's a damn tragedy that we don't have access to the unedited footage from all of these things. With Palumbo here, I'll need to work with the aired segment directly from the To Catch a Predator program. And the problem with this, well, with all editing really, there is a narrative behind the editing style. Whoever worked on the show had cut the footage to display a particular narrative. And there's nothing wrong with this at all, it just means that we are unable to get a completely neutral read of what the interaction between Palumbo and Hansen was like. In saying that though, what we have is better than nothing, and it is what it is. So I'll be watching this under the impression that this edited segment is an honest representation of the moment overall. So let's dive in.
Hey, come on in.
All right, what's up?
Awesome.
All right. Dude, look at you there. You were good directions.
I apologize for the lack of audio in this moment. This may happen a few times in this video as Hansen narrates over some of the sections, and I feel silence with subtitles shows the mannerisms better than with the voiceover. I've done my best to subtitle what I could interpret from the video file, but it was rather difficult.
You can put that in the fridge.
Yeah, I'll put it in a little bit.
All right. I'll relax.
I'm just a little nervous.
I'm
that's all.
nervous too. That's all right. My excuse to come here, I went to Atlantic City.
I don't know. What do you
Put that in the
want to do?
refrigerator. I don't know. Just chill out.
That's it.
All right. We'll see what happens.
I'm just nervous. You know.
That's all right. You could put that in the refrigerator anytime.
I don't mean.
Don't get drunk with that.
I won't.
All right.
Let's review this entrance. As I've said before, meeting someone for the first time is a pretty daunting task for some. A moment that under the right circumstances could rattle even the most confident of people. I imagine Palumbo is feeling those nerves right now as he approaches the house. Seeing the decoy at the door would immediately calm his mind, as his worst fear is seemingly not going to come to fruition. The physical appearance of the boy will be enough for him to drop his guard and walk straight in without much hesitation.
Hey, come on in.
All right. What's up?
Awesome.
All right. Dude, look at you there.
The beer is immediately handed over to the decoy, and Palumbo goes on to explain how good the directions were that he was provided.
You were good directions.
The most jarring thing for me to watch with this is how different he comes across from the man we observed in the chat log. Here he seems friendly, jovial, personable and charismatic. He hands the child a requested gift and immediately begins to compliment the directions that were provided. The fact that I feel an immediate sense of charisma emanating from him scares me. I like Palumbo as a character. I don't like the act that he is attempting to commit, and based on his chat, I'm repulsed by him as a person. Yet if I separate my pre-existing feelings that I have for him and analyze the man in this moment completely independent of any damning evidence we have on him, he is likable. In my experience, the most dangerous people that I have known are the ones that make me feel warm and comfortable when they're around. the ones who can get me to do things without argument, who subtly use me, then vanish, and leave me to pick up all of the damaged pieces. And just as I start to piece the puzzle together and realize that they were the ones who caused this chaos, they swiftly return and remind me that everything is okay, there is no problem here. It's a pretty vicious cycle, and one that I speculate Palumbo is adept at maintaining.
You can put that in the fridge.
What initially strikes me here is the intensity in Palumbo's eyes. I'm fully aware that I may be projecting here based on my own life experience, as Palumbo's mannerisms do greatly remind me of a person that I know in my own life. But I cannot unsee this intensity. It may not come across immediately due to his cheery mask, but underneath it all, this looks like a highly strung and a very controlling individual. After Palumbo says you can put that in the fridge, he immediately tries to catch a glimpse of the decoy's eyes, to see how he will react to this command.
You can put that in the fridge.
It only happens for a split second and is very easy to miss, so it's quite possible for things to look like nothing much is out of the ordinary here. But underneath it all, there is a calculating mind that is trying to gain an upper hand.
You can put that in the fridge.
Yeah, I'll put it in a little bit.
Alright. I'll relax.
The decoy responds by saying he'll put it in the fridge in a bit, and Palumbo says, "Alright, I'll relax." Saying "I'll relax" is rather telling into how he feels right now. He's completely on edge, and this is manifesting into his need to control every aspect of the moment. When the decoy doesn't abide with the initial request for the beer to go into the fridge, it brings Palumbo back into reality. Realizing that he is the stranger in the house, and that he is there to commit a crime, he attempts to smooth over the intensity that drives his desire to control, and he takes a step back, stating that he will relax.
You can put that in the fridge.
Yeah, I'll put it in a little bit.
Alright. I'll relax.
I'm just a little nervous.
I'm
that's all.
nervous too. That's all right.
There's a brief moment of relaxation as both parties express a genuine display of nervousness, both for vastly different reasons, but I do believe the emotions on display are true to how they're feeling right now. Coming out of this moment of honest human emotion, Palumbo uses this newfound space of calm and sees it as an opportunity to issue another command.
Put that in the refrigerator.
Something often seen with manipulative individuals is that they have the ability to recognize when their target is vulnerable and are able to utilize this moment to fulfill their needs. Palumbo spots the decoy's genuine emotion, recognizes it as vulnerability, and then uses the moment to issue another command.
Put that in the refrigerator.
This second attempt at controlling the moment is delivered with far more intensity than the first. Palumbo really needs this command to hit, otherwise he will feel as though the scenario is eluding his control. For someone who may have a demanding and a narcissistic personality, one that I do think Palumbo has for a range of reasons, losing control of a moment is utterly unacceptable and can cause them to spiral downwards mentally. This would explain why the second time he issues this command is with far more conviction than the first.
My excuse to come here, I went to Atlantic City.
I don't know. What do you
Put that in the
want me to do?
refrigerator. I don't know, just chill out.
That's it.
Alright, we'll see what happens.
I'm just nervous. You know.
That's alright. You could put that in the refrigerator anytime.
Okay, I don't mean.
Don't get drunk with that.
I won't.
Alright.
So why'd you need the cover story to go to Atlantic City?
I'll see my brother. Yeah.
Yeah, but who did you have to give that to as a cover story?
No, my brother is home, my other brother.
Right.
And I said, I gotta go to Atlantic City.
But instead you came here.
I stopped by to go there.
So you like to gamble.
Yeah, I love to gamble.
You took a little bit of a gamble coming in here tonight.
No, I just stopped by.
But you said you were nervous when you came in. Why were you so
Yeah,
nervous?
because I was going to Atlantic City and it was dark and I'm not usually a drive at dark at nighttime.
So the nighttime makes you nervous.
Yeah, driving. I'm not a drive at night.
And what
because-
about visiting a boy who's home alone? Does that make you nervous?
Well, yeah.
Yeah, a little
Yeah.
bit.
I just wanted to just say hi. It
Just
was
to
not
say
that,
hi
yeah.
and drop off a package.
Yeah, I had beer.
Have you been drinking tonight?
No, not at all. You can smell my breath. Not at all.
It's okay, I don't need to do that.
Time to take a look at the moment Hansen enters the room.
Don't get drunk with that.
I won't.
All right.
So why'd you need the cover story to go to Atlantic City?
I'll see my brother.
Palumbo is quick. I imagine he lies a lot in his everyday life. His ability to shift from total relaxation to shock, then to a jolly smile as he lies is rather impressive, in a weird sort of way. This moment is of the highest of pressure for a person. The amount of stress that one could and should be feeling if they ever chose to engage with a situation like this would be pretty enormous. So for it to climax with an unknown adult confronting you calmly and collectively the way Hansen does, would be a pretty mentally catastrophic incident, at least for a few moments anyway. Most people I imagine would stumble and stutter, they would look stunned and possibly even confess. If this edited tape is anything to go by, Palumbo doesn't stutter at all. He shifts his momentum from panic to casual defense without dropping a beat.
So why'd you need the cover story to go to Atlantic City?
I'll see my brother.
Yeah, but who did you have to give that to as a cover story?
Chris reinforcing the fact here that he knows the Atlantic City story is just a cover story. Palumbo attempts to steamroll the situation and ignore what Hansen says by utilizing complexity and confusion. Watch as Palumbo explains his story. He'll be motioning his arms and saying things like, "my other brother," all in an attempt to throw Hansen off the case.
No, my brother is home, my other brother.
Right.
And I said, I gotta go to Atlantic City.
But
Generally, under less predatory circumstances, when people hear something that sounds like it may be a long-winded and boring explanation, they will desist with questions as they don't really want to go through the verbal diarrhea that could be the answers. Be it conscious or subconscious, I'm pretty sure Palumbo has learnt this over his life and he's now trying to throw Hansen off the case. Hansen quickly realizes that this is the approach Palumbo is taking with his defense and then changes his up. Instead of attempting to push the point that he knows it's all a cover story, he rolls with the punches to see how much of a hole Palumbo can dig himself into.
And I said, I gotta go to Atlantic City.
but instead you came here.
I stopped by to go there.
So you like to gamble.
Yeah, I love to gamble.
You took a little bit of a gamble coming in here tonight.
It would be a crime to go through the video and not even pay a little bit of respect to Hansen's ability on those off-the-cuff one-liners.
So you like to gamble.
Yeah, I love to gamble.
You took a little bit of a gamble coming in here tonight.
No, I just stopped by.
But you said you were nervous when you came in. Why were you so
Yeah,
nervous?
because I was going to Atlantic City and it was dark and I'm not usually a drive at dark at nighttime.
So the nighttime makes you nervous.
Yeah, driving. I'm not a drive at night.
And what
because-
about visiting a boy who's home alone? Does that make you nervous?
Well, yeah.
Yeah, a little
Yeah.
bit.
I just wanted to just say hi. It
Just
was
to
not
say
that,
hi
yeah.
and drop off a package.
Yeah, I had beer.
Have you been drinking tonight?
No, not at all. You can smell my breath. Not at all.
That's okay. I don't need to do that. How old are you?
39,
39. You said you were 35 online.
35, 39.
You asked him in your chat if he was top or bottom. What does that mean?
Did I ask that? I don't
Right there,
remember
yeah.
that.
Are you top or bottom? I'm horny, you say.
I was just fooling around.
As Hansen proceeds to question him, it becomes apparent to Palumbo that there is no getting around this one. We can see the false charm of his personality begin to wear away and the cracks emerge. He is no longer attempting to employ long-winded and hard-to-follow excuses, and he now takes a more serious tone. With that more serious tone comes shorter answers and much less energy in his voice.
How old are you?
39,
39. You said you were 35 online.
35, 39.
You asked him in your chat if he was top or bottom. What does that mean?
Did I ask that? I don't
Right there,
remember
yeah.
that.
Are you top or bottom? I'm horny, you say.
I was just fooling around.
Well, if you're just fooling around, then why were you so concerned about knowing whether or not he was a cop?
Just joking.
Just joking. So what made you decide to come over here and meet a teenage boy after this sexually explicit conversation?
I thought it was like I wanted to hang out with someone, like a friend. Like I thought he was like 18, something like that. It wasn't. I'm not
what it
gay or
tells you?
anything. I'm just saying.
The "I'm not gay" defense is an odd one to say the least. Hansen has spent the last few minutes reading his own words back to him, words that he would recognize intimately and know what the content holds. So for him to claim he's not gay really shows how rattled he is in this moment. He knows full well the things that he has said to the decoy, and he knows that Hansen has read them also. So to claim that he is not gay is nothing short of ridiculous at this point. It's like watching an animal who's been backed into a corner. He's running out of options, and although flimsy, might as well give it a go to squirm out of this problem.
Well, this isn't about gay
No,
or
I'm just
straight.
saying, I'm straight, I'm
Nobody
just
cares
saying.
what adults do.
No, I'm
you know?
just saying.
But when you involve somebody who's 14, that's when
I
it
thought
becomes
he
an issue.
18.
How old are you, you ask? 14. I told you that already. You say K, meaning okay.
I wasn't gonna
But
do
why
anything.
do that? What's the motive here? Explain it to me. I don't
No,
understand
you're
it.
right. No, you're right. It's stupid of me. No,
it's an
no.
illegal thing.
Yeah, I know. I did a stupid thing.
And here we have the final swing for survival. Likely a difficult one for him to stoop to as well. The acknowledgement that he did something wrong. It took him a while to get here. He threw down the Atlantic City cover. The eye just dropped in to see a friend. I'm nervous because I don't like driving at night. I thought she was 18. I'm not even gay. And then now he admits it, that what he did was stupid and wrong. I doubt there's any sincerity behind this admission. It's just the last resort for him. When in really hot water, say what you have to say to get out of it. Like a child who stole something from the teacher's desk and now has to admit to it or the entire class will be punished. he begrudgingly admits to his wrongdoing. There's no getting out of this one, Palumbo, as we all know what is about to come for him.
Do you ever watch much television?
Sometimes, once in a while, not so much of a TV person.
Well, I'm Chris Hansen, and I work for Dateline NBC, and we're doing a story on adults who try to meet kids online.
I wouldn't want to be, oh boy.
You can walk right out the door, you came in.
Okay.
I understand that Anthony Palumbo is much loved amongst online fans of the program. Well, maybe loved is not the right word. Let's just say that his in-person antics and ridiculous chatlog style are highly appreciated by the community for comedic purposes. My intention was never to turn a character who may not be seen as one of the worst, and then attempt to find a way to make him fit into that category. The truth is, Palumbo really scares me. Not on a physical level, but more on emotional. The intensity that emanates from him is something that I personally recognize in a few people that have drifted in and out of my life before. And although that may bias my opinion towards him, it doesn't change the fact that that is how I see it. His demandingly intense personality is masked by a cartoonish and friendly exterior, and he is fully aware of it. The jolly and easygoing front is a technique he uses to control everything around him. The information we have on him is that at the time of this filming he was jobless and lived with his mother where he looked after her. Some people online speculate that he just collected her benefits, but there is no way to prove this. So by no means am I saying he is a master manipulator that carved his way to success. Quite the opposite. Many people who adopt manipulative and damaging personality traits never rise to success. They shoot themselves in the feet, burn bridges, and sink to the depths of society's cesspool. This is where Palumbo, I imagine, has found himself. And who knows where he has ended up in the years to come after the program. I read online that he suffers from depression, and that's about all I could find. What I can only hope for, though, is that this experience with Hansen was enough of a jolt to make him think twice the next time he attempts to lie, cheat, manipulate, and all around engage in behavior that's detrimental to everyone involved, including himself. And that wraps up Anthony Palumbo, hey? If you have made it to the end of this video, then I really do have to say thank you so much for spending your time watching my stuff. I never expected anyone to really give me support, and chose to do my first video as a way to develop a few skills, maybe getting some feedback in the process. It may not seem like much to some, but I just passed 1,000 subs and it is truly surreal. I mean, I remember telling my friends how excited I was when I got my first 10. I really have to pay a huge respect to Baked Salmon on this one, who made a community post about my channel early on. And if you haven't heard about him or seen his channel, do head on over. He has some of the best TCAP content going around. He also made this awesome Dave's Hard Lemonade picture you're currently looking at. I'll leave a link to his channel in the description. I do intend to keep making these videos and would like to be able to cover each predator, as I find each one unique and quite thought-provoking. If this is a journey that anyone wants to join me on, I have a Patreon link in my description, but there's absolutely no obligation to support it in the slightest. These videos will be getting made whether there's monetary support or not, and any monetary support that does come in will go right back into the lemonade stand. So with that all being said, once again, thank you so much for making it to the end of this video, and I'll catch you all next time.